5-651-3439.
Do it! Just do it!
Now, with Locked In, here's Parker Thune and Grayson Singleton.
You know, we talk a lot on this show about just the wackiness of recruiting, the element of the unknown, the things of which you can never be certain. And there are precious things of which you can be certain. Precious few things, I should say, of which you can be certain in the world of college football, but especially recruiting, and this just kind of illustrates it, Grayson. I was scrolling through the headlines this morning, and I had to remind myself that this guy existed. But there was a time, it looked like he was going to be Oklahoma's guy at the quarterback position a few recruiting cycles ago. Jaden Rashada has unsurprisingly been named the starting quarterback for the 2025 season at Sacramento State. And you know, Grayson, look, there are some guys, quite frankly, that whether they sign with Oklahoma or not, I have strong opinions on, and I'm right about. For instance, the day Oklahoma signed Jamarian Burt in February of 2022. Their late signees that year were Grayson Halton, Cavante Henry, R. Mason Thomas, and Jamarian Burt. My thought process is, I should say, what are you doing with Jamarian Burt? That guy's never going to play here, and he didn't. I believe he saw action in the 49-0 blowout against Texas. That was the only game he ever played in an Oklahoma uniform. Transferred to South Alabama, didn't play there, was very notoriously involved in a post-game fracas after South Alabama's bowl game in the 2023 season, in which he got sucker punched by, I can't remember, did they play UAB maybe? Anyway, he got involved in a melee after a bowl game. That was the only notable thing he ever really did at South Alabama, and he's somewhere in the JUCO ranks right now. So sometimes you're right, sometimes you're wrong. I was wrong about Jaden Rashada, man, because, and look, I guess similar to Jackson Arnold, who was the guy that Oklahoma wound up getting in that cycle, we haven't closed the book on Jaden Rashada as a college football player, just like we haven't closed the book on Jackson Arnold as a college football player. But man, I was convinced, and there was certainly a time where I did kind of question the decision to take Jackson Arnold over Jaden Rashada, because I was that convinced that Jaden Rashada was going to be the next big thing. And if you look at that 2023 class of quarterbacks, with City. For everybody, not just OU.
Yeah.
Like, we all believed that quarterback class in 2023 was going to be generational. Jackson Arnold, Jaden Rashada, Nico Iamaleava, Malachi Nelson. Arch Manning was in that class.
Mm-hmm.
Who else? There were a couple other big-time signal callers in the 23 cycle. But, like, that looked like, to the naked eye and on paper, the best quarterback class in recent memory. And you can make a legit argument that the best guy, the best performer from that class so far, that 2023 cycle, was Lenoris Sellers, who was not even in the conversations on signing day as a top 10 guy at the position.
Here's the thing with Jaden Rashada that makes it so hard for you to evaluate his career. Are we aware that even though we've known the name Jaden Rashada for the longest time, he's only thrown 82 collegiate passes?
Mm-hmm.
Now, some of this has to do with him. Some of it also has to do with, that NIL deal gone wrong with, what was it, Florida or Georgia, one of those. There were some fishy things. He hasn't had a linear career, or a smooth one at that. So I'm hoping for Rashada, because I still think he can be a really good football player. I'm hoping that this is a one-year stop at Sac State, and he bounces right back to the P4, where he probably belongs. Because we can point to things with Jackson Arnold and say, okay, you didn't do this or you didn't have that. The situation around him was porous, to say the least. We can't forget that. But with Rashada, I wonder if Rashada has even been given a substantial chance, and also given himself a substantial chance. So I hope this year with Rashada is just a reset year, get yourself back on the Power 4 radar, and get yourself back into the Power 4 come 2026.
Man. Sacramento State.
Who's coaching there, by the way?
It's Brennan Marion.
That's right.
Brennan Marion is the head coach at
Yes, he
Sacramento
is.
State. Yeah, and he's got a little bit of buzz behind that. Like, he's got a 4-star committed in the 2026 cycle.
Yes, he does.
Xavier McDonald from the state of Mississippi.
Uh-huh.
Whether he signs the dotted line in December is a different conversation, but for the moment, he is committed to Sac State.
It's kind of an accomplishment that he has him committed this deep into the cycle in the first place.
And he had some big-time offers. But, man, it's cases like that where it kind of brings you back to reality and makes you realize, you know what? You never really know. Even if you feel highly confident, you never really know. The one thing that can always derail a kid's college football career is injuries. Sometimes it's the lack of the proper mindset and work ethic, i.e. Devon Mitchell, right? Sometimes the guy's just not good. Sometimes a guy that had wondrous high school tape just doesn't pan out at the collegiate level. And at that point, all you can do is throw your hands up and say, well, that's life. That's life. Slim Brady points out Avery Johnson was in that 2023 class, and he's turned out all right, certainly.
Yeah, I think all right is the best way to put that.
It is the most accurate way to put that.
Still can't
he has
believe
been all right.
Still can't believe that dude's black, by the way.
That's crazy, isn't it?
That is nuts.
405-651-3439 is the Knippelmeyer Chevrolet text line if you want to chime in throughout the show. Dorsey Jones GMC is our hourly sponsor here on Locked In. Dorsey Jones is family-owned and operated, established in 2020, but many of their employees have been there for over 20 years. They sell GMCs, of course, which offer some of the most reliable trucks and SUVs on the road today. Their low-pressure sales environment creates an enjoyable experience for everyone, and their sales staff is knowledgeable and eager to assist you before and after the buying process. All that and half-price oil changes on Saturdays as well. So check out Dorsey Jones GMC in El Reno. How about this, Grayson? Here's a little snippet that is airworthy. CBS Sports' latest NFL mock draft
For 2026?
for 2026
Okay, let's do it.
has John Mateer, Oklahoma starting quarterback John Mateer, going 13th overall to the Pittsburgh Steelers. And here is the blurb on John Mateer. John Mateer, and I quote here, John Mateer has arguably the best arm talent in the entire draft class and goes to a division in the AFC North where that's a necessity.
Yes.
He showed growth in his first season as a starter and now has a chance to blow up in his first season with the Sooners after transferring from Washington State. You know what I like reading there? I like someone acknowledging that John Mateer has immense arm talent, because he does.
Do people not acknowledge that?
No, I haven't seen a ton of acknowledgement nationally of that reality. I mean, obviously he's a gamer, he's a competitor, he's mobile, and they credit him as such. I don't know that John Mateer's arm talent has been talked about a whole lot this offseason. The dude can really throw the football. And it looks a little wonky. It does.
Oh, yeah.
He's got a unique, like, Phillip Rivers-esque type of sidewinder release. But it works, man. He can put some zip on that thing. He can push downfield. He can layer his throws.
Mm-hmm.
In terms of arm talent, it's all there for John Mateer. Now, is he going to be a first-round draft pick? I'm going to still need some convincing. I'm going to need to see him play well and consistently for Oklahoma in 2025. But the very fact that there's at least one highly respected outlet that's putting that out there as a preseason expectation for OU's QB1 leads you to believe that, yep, John Mateer has some converts at the absolute highest levels.
And Todd McShay has liked John Mateer for the longest time. He talked about him a couple of months ago, I believe. When I break down John Mateer, I look at, can he play on schedule? And if there's one thing that the Shedeur Sanders developments have taught me as I continue to evolve in, learning what these scouts and what these coaches want, It is the ability to play on time that is going to be so valuable in the NFL. So what I'm looking for at him for this year, he's so athletic and he's so mobile. Can he avoid doing the Russell Wilson type thing where you just try to extend the play and try to extend the play, relying on your mobility, and end up getting toppled for an even bigger loss? He's going to have to figure that out quickly in the SEC because as opposed to what he was playing against in the remnant of the Pac-12 and the glorified Mountain West, some of these linebackers can run like his receivers. So he's going to have to learn how to play on time, on schedule, throw the ball away. If he does that and still has a great year, I do think he's a top 20 pick in the draft.
Well, and not to step outside the OU circle for too long here, but I think that's kind of the question so many folks have about the Chicago Bears this year.
With Caleb Williams. Yes.
Because Ben Johnson, their new head coach, former offensive coordinator of the Detroit Lions, his scheme thrives on a quarterback who plays on time.
Yes.
And so
yes.
that's not Caleb Williams' game.
No.
Not naturally, at least. And so the question that everybody has is, can Ben Johnson kind of rein Caleb Williams' freewheeling nature in and make him the type of system quarterback that Johnson's system demands? And so you know another guy that's very much similar to John Mateer in that it doesn't seem that the storylines surrounding his ability have ever really included conversation about his arm strength is Michael Hawkins. You know, like I feel like John Mateer and Michael Hawkins are two guys that if you listened to, I don't know, whoever, if you listen to 10 different analysts, radio hosts, pundits, reporters, whatever, you listen to 10 different people talk about John Mateer and you listen to 10 different people talk about Michael Hawkins, the phrase arm strength might not come up with either one of them. And admittedly, when you watch them on tape, you question the way that they throw the ball because it's unconventional. Much like Mateer, Hawkins has kind of like a slingshot type of motion where
he is very
from the
shoulder dominant in his release. Yes.
Yes. And so both of those guys, they don't have prototypical throwing mechanics. But in spite of that, those dudes have absolute cannons attached to their shoulders. We've seen it with John Mateer at Washington State. We've certainly seen it with Michael Hawkins. Everybody remembers the 60-yard throw he made downfield to J.J. Hester to completely flip the momentum of that Auburn game last fall. So, man, it's going to be an interesting couple years at Oklahoma for Ben Arbuckle and his offensive system because it did wonders for Cam. And look, Ben Arbuckle didn't by his lonesome make Cam Ward the number 1 overall draft pick. It would be irresponsible not to give some credit to Miami and that staff for the work that they did in helping.
He's not the number 1 overall pick if he's coming out straight from Washington State.
Correct. But Ben Arbuckle certainly had a hand in that.
Absolutely.
And there was a time where I don't think the NFL scouting realm really regarded Cam Ward as like the prototype necessarily. And his game evolved during his time at Washington State and then at Miami. Now, what can Ben Arbuckle do with John Mateer and presumably in turn Michael Hawkins to get the best out of them as the respective quarterbacks at the University of Oklahoma and set them up for success at the NFL level? Because I do not think there's any question. There's no question in my mind, certainly, that Mateer has the ability to be a first-round talent, and Hawkins has the ability to be a first-round talent. But if they're going to be first-round talents, it's going to be because they throw the ball on schedule and accurately to all levels of the field. They command the offense. They make plays primarily with their arm, and the mobility is an added bonus. Right? I think gone are the days, if there ever were days, where you're taking a chance on a quarterback who's just a superior athlete and hoping things work out for him as a thrower. The Ravens did that with Lamar Jackson back in 2018. The Ravens did it with Lamar
Jackson, and I believe the biggest example of that would be Cam Newton in 2010.
Mm-hmm. And Cam Newton had a pretty fine career.
Yes.
At the NFL level. But paramount at the professional level is always going to be a quarterback's ability to throw the football. And that will be the most critical box that needs to be checked for John Mateer and for Michael Hawkins over the course of their careers at Oklahoma is, can they make all of the throws?
Watching him over the offseason, I'll ask you this question. How do you think John Mateer's playing style has evolved so far to what he's going to be expected to go up against in the SEC?
Well, see, that's the thing. I'm really not sure. This might be a question we have to re-examine midseason. Because does John Mateer's game need to evolve? Does Ben Arbuckle's scheme need to evolve? And he said he's going to tweak it. He's going to add some nuance. There are going to be some wrinkles that haven't shown up on tape yet. But is there any particular reason why schematically Arbuckle and Mateer can't take all of what they've done at Washington State and apply it on the field at Oklahoma? That's me genuinely asking because I don't know the answer to that question. And we will find out the answer to that question, I would say, over the first 7 to 8 games of the 2025 season. Now, Arbuckle and Mateer, two incredibly intelligent individuals. And so if there's any sense at any point that, hey, some of the core tenets of our offense at Washington State can't translate or don't translate to the type of football that we need to play in order to be competitive in the SEC, then they will adjust and adapt on the fly. But at least initially, my expectation is that you see a lot of similarities between Oklahoma's offense in the early stages of the 2025 season and the Washington State offense that you've seen on tape over the last couple of years as Arbuckle has called the shots. All right, folks, 405-651-3439, 405-651-3439. Keep hitting us up. We'll get to some of your texts, talk some OU crootin', and continue our game week preview of the action ahead for the Sooners on the gridiron. Keep it here on The Ref, the home of Sooner fans.
Where do Oklahoma sports fans go to watch the big game? Gridiron Sports Bar at River Spirit Casino Resort in Tulsa. With multiple viewing screens and a huge LED wall, you'll never miss a play. Enjoy bar-top gaming, Top Golf swing suites, delicious game day food and drinks, and a VIP lounge for top-tier players. Gridiron Sports Bar takes sports fans to another viewing level. Gridiron Sports Bar, Tulsa's fan favorite.
More than 600,000 Oklahomans have disabilities. We can't afford to leave great employees behind just because they do things differently.
Who we are and what we accomplish
are much more important.
Hire an Oklahoman with a disability and gain dependability, commitment, and lower turnover. Reach out. Oklahoma Rehabilitation Services, okdrs.gov, 1-800-845-8476.
Don't miss out on OKC's hottest entertainment at the Showplace Theater with acts like
Bret Michaels, September 27th. Collective Soul, October 17th. And the Oak Ridge Boys, November 28th.
Riverwind is OKC's favorite casino experience.
With OG&E's Energy Efficiency Program, we'll provide the blueprint for lowering your bill and increasing your comfort. Whether it's tuning heat and air units, caulking and weather stripping drafty doors and windows, insulating your attic, or connecting you with valuable rebates, you'll improve efficiency and save money with no out-of-pocket costs. Learn more at oge.com/efficiency. At OG&E, we energize life.
Would she say yes? All evening, he'd been waiting for the perfect moment to drop to one knee. Finally, he pulled the box from his pocket to reveal the surprise he had waiting for her. He had practiced the words over and over in his head. As he took the sparkling ring from its hiding place, he forgot them all. But words were not necessary. She gasped at the diamond, mesmerized by its brilliance and all that it symbolized. It was the perfect ring, and of course she said yes, as she threw her arms around his neck. When you're ready to pop the question, do it with a ring that says it all. There's a perfect ring for every woman in the world, and we have yours waiting at Lewis Jewelers on I-35 and more. Why don't you come and see for yourself? A diamond is forever. Wouldn't you rather say it came from Lewis Jewelers? Call us at 703-4644.
Sidelined by injury? Valor Physical Therapy and H2 Health Company can help. Our therapists use their knowledge and skills to help get you back in the game faster. Book your appointment now at valorpt.com or call 405-609-3637. No referral needed. Mention the ref and get a free t-shirt at your first appointment. That's valorpt.com.
Getting your first license? Come to Thune Tag Title and License. We'll help you get your learner's permit, take your drive test, and once you pass, you can get your license or permit and snap a pic in our fun photo booth. Teens, adults, if you need a driver's license or real ID, we've got you covered. Call 405-364-1151 or visit FusionTag.com for more info. Saturday morning walk-ins welcome. Celebrate your big day the fun way at Fusen.
Parker Thune, Grayson, Singleton riding along with you here on The Rush. I'm sorry, not The Rush, The Ref. The Rush is coming up next in the 3 o'clock hour. This is Locked In. This is Locked In, not The Rush. I don't know why I said The Rush.
Hey, man.
Slip of the tongue.
Hey, man, it happens.
Oh, it's a Thursday.
I called
and
this
I've
show.
I've got a lot of driving ahead the next couple of days.
Yeah, you do.
Mentally preparing for that. Bigsby tonight. Swear I'll be. Bigsby. Well, actually, I won't be in Bigsby. I will be at Skelly Field, home of the Tulsa Golden Hurricane, to watch Bixby and Owasso.
Oh, is that where they're playing the game tonight?
It is, yes.
Okay.
They're playing at Skelly. Doug in Norman shot us a text on the Knippelmeyer Chevrolet text line and said, please don't credit Michael Hawkins Jr. for flipping the momentum against Auburn last year. The only thing that flipped the momentum was the Kip Lewis pick-6 interception, which won the game. Absent that, Auburn dominated the game and probably should have won, but for that critical mistake. See, Doug, I'm going to fight you on this one. And the reason being is because I was there in the building. And so even if it didn't feel like on the TV broadcast that the momentum flipped with that 60-yard bomb from Michael Hawkins to J.J. Hester that set up a Javonte Barnes touchdown moments later, I feel the need to remind you that Auburn fans have been through some stuff in recent years. That was a couple weeks after they'd lost to Cal at home. And so Auburn fans, they can't help but get antsy at the first sign of disaster. And that was the first sign of disaster. That building at Jordan-Hare Stadium, for the first 3+ quarters of that football game, was as lively and as raucous a college football environment as I have ever been in. It was amazing. But, Doug, the second J.J. Hester reeled in that pass, all of the life was sucked out of that stadium. And it developed into this eerie, apprehensive murmur for the next several minutes of gameplay, leading up to Kip Lewis's pick-6 that gave Oklahoma the lead. If you'll recall, there was, I will never forget this. This is seared into my memory. Immediately before Peyton Thorne throws the pick-6 to Kip Lewis, Auburn had called a timeout to set up that third down play call. They had called a timeout, and Hugh Freeze, I can't remember what had happened on the previous play. Peyton Thorne had missed a receiver somehow, some way, and Hugh Freeze was giving him an earful on the sideline. And I remember taking stock of the environment, just kind of scanning the stadium. And again, I will describe it as an eerie, apprehensive murmur. It was as if everyone in Jordan-Hare Stadium was expecting something disastrous to occur, something catastrophic to occur. And lo and behold, it did. So, I stand by what I said, Doug. That Michael Hawkins throw to J.J. Hester absolutely changed the momentum of that football game. Now, was Kip Lewis's pick six obviously the most crucial development of that fourth quarter for Oklahoma? Without question. Without question. But the momentum flipped as soon as J.J. Hester caught that pass. A listener down in Texas says, Parker, the last 30 days, I've driven over 3,300 miles. It is my job, but whatever state I'm in, I'm listening to the ref. Well, we appreciate you, sir. That comes out to, what, over 100 miles a day?
About 110 miles a day.
Sheesh, man. Yeah, I probably do just about that much driving in the fall. I do about 40,000 a year on the road. So,
damn.
Yep. If you got any good podcasts that you listen to, or any new musical artists that I should give a try,
what kind of
hit me up,
music?
let me know.
What kind of music you like?
I'm all over the place, man.
Are you really?
Yeah. I don't like country. That's the one thing.
We know that.
Yeah. I make an exception for Toby Keith, but I don't like country.
If you want, last time I was in Tulsa, I listened to Joyner Lucas's new album on the way back. Fantastic.
You said Joyner Lucas?
Joyner Lucas, yes.
Okay. What genre?
Rap.
Okay. I'll check it out.
It was really good.
We'll see what happens.
It was really good. And then for podcasts, man, Crash Dummies is my podcast I go to. I'm pretty sure we've talked about this before.
A listener in New Jersey, a listener that I guess we had some back and forth with yesterday, followed up today and said, hey, Parker and Grayson, just want to make sure you all saw my last text yesterday since it was as you guys were going off the air. Just wanted you guys to know when I'm texting in hot takes, it's just fandom, and they aren't attacks on you. Just conversations. Hopefully that is how most people are when they text in with disagreements on y'all's takes. And y'all don't take it personal. I hope you're having a great day. Safe travels, Parker. Thank you, sir. Appreciate that. And no, we never take it personal. Trust me. We are here to engage in lively sporting discourse. We do not have to agree, and Lord knows we don't, on every single topic of conversation. That said, here's where I wanted to go with this segment, Grayson. This will be, obviously, a conversation that is most prominent throughout the month of December, and I guess in November as well. But we've talked so much about recruiting throughout the offseason. Let's talk a little bit about the portal, because Oklahoma is going to dip into the portal every single offseason. Every P4 team is, even Clemson these days. And so right now, as you look at this roster, based on your expectations of how things unfold in 2025, is there a position group or two you feel like, yep, Oklahoma is going to want to or need to go to the portal for one of those come December?
Two things. Linebacker, I think they'll need to go to the portal for.
Okay.
And hilariously enough, because they went heavy in the portal at this position, they'll probably need to go to the portal for tight end again. I mean, you're presumed number one, and the only reason I say presumed is because I don't know if he'll hold on to that number one for the remainder of the year. But your number one guy right now is going to be out of eligibility. You've got a couple others that are out of eligibility. The ones you brought over from the portal have been underwhelming. And the guy you like still can't shake the injury bug. The one
man.
The one that's the most well-rounded. Like, it sucks that Caden Helms cannot. I mean, just something goes wrong with him, and it really sucks. But I do think, given your misses in the portal at that position this year, Jaron Kanik being out of eligibility following this year, Caden Helms, just quite frankly, and I hate to say it, being unreliable with his availability, I think that's going to be the A1 that you're going to have to go to.
Yeah, Carson Kent will be able to come back in 2026, so there's a veteran that you know you'll be able to count on. Trinae Washington will be a year older, and you have a couple of guys in Ryder Mix and Tyler Ruxer that come in and should be able to give you something immediately. I don't know if they're starting immediately, but I think both of those guys, Mix a little bit more so than Ruxer, are poised to at least see the field in some capacity in year one. But I agree with you. I think what happens with Caden Helms in 2025 is the biggest contingency there. If Caden Helms emerges and Caden Helms plays important and substantial snaps for Oklahoma, then it probably doesn't feel like an absolute necessity to go grab a portal tight end come December. But if we get to season's end and he hasn't really made that impact yet, if it's another year of just kind of waiting on the Caden Helms experiment to pay off and pay dividends, then, yeah, I would say Oklahoma's probably going to the portal at that point to go and find another veteran to compete in that room. The position that I landed on when ruminating on this whole conversation was actually running back. It was running back because, listen to this. Jaden Ott, done after a year, we know this. Javonte Barnes is also graduating. What are the odds that all three of Xavier Robinson, Taylor Tatum, and Torrey Blaylock are on the roster next year based on the simple reality that you're not going to be able to find touches for all of them this season?
Slim to none.
Yeah. And so you have DeZephan Walker coming in. That's great, but he's the only guy right now in the 2026 class that Oklahoma has committed at that position. And so I'd be willing to wager that Oklahoma is going to be in the market once again for one, if not two, transfer running backs. That may be a position where they need to double up. Because I feel, especially playing SEC ball, you're probably better off carrying 6. You can get away with 5, and Oklahoma has 5 right now, but those 5 consist of, 2 seniors in Jaden Ott and Javonte Barnes, and then a couple of guys in Xavier Robinson and Taylor Tatum that have played and at times played well collegiately. So, based on the experience factor, based on the incumbency factor, I think there's a world in which you can get away with only carrying 5 scholarship running backs, but I would be more comfortable if Oklahoma was carrying 6.
Running back was my number 3. Linebacker and tight end were the first couple that I thought. And not only with running back are you going to have to replace bodies, I imagine you're going to have to replace a skill set. Because whether or not Javonte Barnes would be able to come back, he ain't Jaden Ott with the way that you can deploy him. So when you lose Jaden Ott, you're losing a chess piece in that regard too. So you're going to have to go out, especially if Ben Arbuckle has a successful year as offensive play caller, you're going to have to go out and get a skill set similar to Jaden Ott if you want to duplicate some of the things that you would have done in 2025.
I mentioned earlier in the week, I do think Oklahoma will probably be in the market for an experienced offensive tackle. Maybe not a guy that comes in with the expectation of being a starter, but, and I'm very, you know what, I'm not going to make that comparison. I was going to go Spencer Brown, somebody that you bring in to compete for a starting spot, but I don't even want to go. Let's say Michael Tarquin. You're bringing in another guy like Michael Tarquin with starting experience, ideally at the P4 level, and somebody that if he wins the job, great. If not, you know that he's going to provide valuable depth. Kind of like Oklahoma got with the 2 Stanford transfers this offseason in Luke Beklenko and Jake Michael. Yeah, neither of those guys are going to start, but there is some degree of comfort in knowing that if you need to break that emergency glass, the guys that are waiting to be deployed are dudes with P4 starting experience under their belts. And so I would think Oklahoma is shopping around for an experienced tackle in the portal this upcoming offseason. And I also think there's definitely a world in which they want to go grab a defensive end. To me, again, kind of depends on how this season plays out. R. Mason Thomas is not coming back. Marvin Jones is not coming back. Are you confident enough in Taylor Wine and or Danny Okoye and or PJ?
I was about to say PJ is the wild card in this one.
And he is a real wild card. Like, if that guy plays well, if that guy starts to live up to the billing in 2025, then I don't feel like that's a need for Oklahoma. But kind of like we were talking about with Helms, if PJ's just kind of scuffling this year, not really doing much, not really contributing much, to me it doesn't really matter at that point what you get or don't get out of Taylor Wine and Danny Okoye. You got to go get another guy that you can count on in that rotation.
And keep this in mind, too. You've got a defensive end in Jake Krell coming in who should be a day one contributor. So you kind of have something to cushion the fall there with him coming in as well.
Chris from Knoxville said, just when I forget about Spencer Brown, his name somehow comes back around.
It's funny every time you mention Spencer Brown because my mind initially goes to the Spencer Brown that plays right tackle for the Bills.
And is pretty good.
And is really good.
This 405 listener says, next to the tight end room, the running back situation has been one of the worst handled / coached rooms on this team. Talking about guys leaving when we supposedly have a great running back coach but have had very little production. The best running back on the team didn't see the field till late in the season. Okay, again, and I think the world of Xavier Robinson. But I also don't think he was the best running back on the team last year. I think if he was the best running back on the team last year, he would have played a lot sooner than Game 9. And so was Xavier Robinson the best running back on the team, or did he just look like the best running back on the team in the very brief window where you saw him act? And he did look really good, right? But we're still talking about a very small sample size.
Very.
A sample size of 3.5 games?
Yeah.
Maine, Missouri, Alabama, LSU.
When none of them could prepare a game plan for you because they hadn't seen you.
Yeah, and injuries have not helped in any capacity whatsoever. Gavin Sawchuk being hurt, Javonte Barnes being hurt at times. You rewind to 2023, Tawi Walker being hurt at times. Hopefully the equation is very simple for DeMarco Murray in 2022. In 2025, because when it has been, and 2022 is a good example of this, when it's very clear what the hierarchy is in the running back room and what it should be. At the time, it was Eric Gray number 1, Javonte Barnes number 2. Well, you get a very conventional arrangement where Gray's toting the rock 60 to 70% of the time, and the majority of the remaining carries, I should say, are being allotted to his primary handcuff in Javonte Barnes, and that was an excellent season for Oklahoma on the ground. That was an excellent season for Eric Gray, who wound up getting drafted the ensuing spring. That was an excellent season for Javonte Barnes and helped to cultivate some really high expectations for him as you turn things over to his sophomore year. And quite simply, he has not been fully healthy ever since, either in 2023 or in 2024. So, I hear your criticisms of DeMarco Murray. I agree at times the rotations have been weird. I also think that, as with many things surrounding this football team over the last season, 2 seasons even, to a certain extent, it hasn't. It can't really be helped when you have guys that are consistently unavailable and you're always trying to shuffle the deck in search of a solution. All right, 405-651-3439. More of your texts, more OU football talk on the other side, because that's what we do here on The Ref, the home of Sooner fans. Stay here.
Do you eat, sleep, and breathe Sooner football? We do too. This is The Ref, home of Sooner fans.
Norman Chamber of Commerce, Visit Norman, and the City of Norman encourage you to shop local this summer. Find good eats right here like Bad Daddy's Burger Bar. They've got delicious burgers, giant salads, and a front row seat to the next big game. Make sure to get the Young Family Athletic Center on your kids' summer schedule. Court rentals are always available to reserve in advance. Plus, camps, clinics, and leagues are going on now, and it's not too late to sign up. Get your gear ready for the season with Bamboa Apparel. Custom hats, polos, tees, and jackets embroidered just for your team at Bamboa Apparel. Visit Sooner Bowling Center this summer, featuring 24 lanes, a newly remodeled arcade, and the Spare Time Grill. Plus, check out summer camps at SoonerBowl.com. When you eat, shop, and play local, you help the Norman community thrive.
For over 37 years, Bob Maupin has been providing roofing and construction services in Oklahoma for residential and commercial clients. Maupin Roofing and Construction is a locally owned family business. They do work right the first time. Maupin Roofing has insurance specialists to work with your insurance company in resolving your damage claims. Call Bob at Maupin Roofing and Construction at 405-703-3843 for your free estimate today. 405-703-3843 or visit maupinroofing.com. Maupin Roofing. Go Sooners.
Considering refinancing your mortgage? Now might be the perfect time to start planning. With rates on the move, Stride Bank can help you determine if you may be able to lower your monthly payments, shorten your loan term, or tap into your home's equity. Stride's expert mortgage advisors will work with you to tailor a solution that fits your needs. With local roots and national reach, Stride Bank is your go-to partner for all your banking needs. Stride Bank, your trusted financial partner since 1913. Find out more at stridebank.com. Stride Bank, member FDIC, equal housing lender.
Hey guys, it's Dory Noka. Have you been involved in an auto accident? If so, it's time to contact the OKC Car Crash Clinic of Dr. Martin Lopez. He's a board-certified and fellowship MD with unparalleled training and experience. Dr. Lopez works with a great team of healthcare professionals and attorneys to help you achieve the best physical and financial recovery. Contact Dr. Lopez at 405-86-CRASH or at okccrash.com. Don't forget to listen every week to the Dory Noka Show for the Impact Player of the Game, brought to you by Dr. Martin Lopez.
Hey, it's Chris Plank, and I want to give a tip of the cap to my friends at Sooner Bowl. When you've been entertaining families in Norman for more than 40 years, you know you've been doing something right. At Sooner Bowl, it doesn't matter if you're a seasoned pro with amazing spin on your ball like me, or if you need bumpers to avoid going in the gutter each time. For decades, it's been where friends and families have met to enjoy their time. And don't forget Social Butterfly Catering and Escape Sooner for more family fun. I love it. You'll love it. Visit SoonerBowl.com for more information.
Hi, I'm Ashton and I'm with the nonprofit Fostering Futures. Every day, children are removed from their homes due to abuse and neglect. In these critical moments, we step in to support these vulnerable kids. We work alongside child welfare workers to meet the essential needs of safety, stability, and healthy connections, as well as providing enrichment opportunities. But we can't do this important work without your support. Consider donating at fosteringfuturesok.org. Together, we can offer children a brighter future.
My name is Corporal Bradley Joseph Seitz.
Jerry Reed.
Kate Weber.
These are real veterans facing a real challenge.
I have PTSD.
And I have PTSD.
I have PTSD.
Post-traumatic stress disorder can happen to anyone.
I was still in a war zone in my mind.
But treatment can turn your life around.
Treatment has really saved my life.
To learn about PTSD and how treatment can help you, call your local VA medical center or visit ptsd.va.gov.
Final segment of Locked In here on the Ref, the home of Sooner fans. Parker Thune alongside Grayson Singleton. A 405 listener in response to the Xavier Robinson discourse said, 3.5 games of action is plenty enough to see that the dude's for real. Not making any other comparison, but the eye test means something. I was at the game when Barry Sanders returned the opening kickoff as a backup running back, and my comment was, oh, shoot. No, you're right, certainly. And again, Xavier Robinson is for real. That's undeniable. My comment was, are we sure he's the best running back on the roster, or was the best running back on the roster last year? Because if you trust the word and the eyes of the OU coaches, then the best running back on the roster was 6th on the depth chart to open the season. So, look, kid's good. Kid's going to contribute for Oklahoma in 2025. No question about it. And what he did last season down the stretch was remarkable and was worthy of commendation. That doesn't necessarily mean we can automatically slap the best running back on the roster label onto him. Now, one listener also commented, that's a bigger sample size than Arch, and they have him winning the Heisman. And, yeah, you know, like there's another comparison to be made here. If you watched any amount of non-conference football at the University of Oklahoma between the years 2019 and 2023, you would have walked away convinced that Marcus Major was going to be the next big thing in the Oklahoma backfield. And then that guy went missing as soon as conference play started every year. So, small sample sizes can lie. I'm not saying they are with Xavier Robinson. I expect him to be a significant contributor out of Oklahoma's backfield in 2025. But, like I said, 3.5 games. Still not a ton. A 308 listener pointed out that Tawi Walker ended up at Cincinnati. What a crazy journey it has been for that guy, man. Post-grad, like he played football at some post-grad institution in like Massachusetts for a year. Quit football altogether for a year. Enrolled at some junior college out in California. Or maybe it was the Las Vegas area where he's from. Got a call from DeMarco Murray to come walk on at Oklahoma. Walked on at Oklahoma. Played a little bit in 2022. played a lot of bid in 2023.
Mm-hmm.
Transferred to Wisconsin for the 2024 season, and now he will wrap up his collegiate career at Cincinnati in 2025. He's also just a tremendous human being. I wish nothing but the best for that guy. He was awesome while he was here at Oklahoma. Awesome. And he deserves everything that he's gotten as a football player. Moreover, there was never a time he was on scholarship at Oklahoma.
Really?
Yep. He paid his way for 2 years here. Parlayed that into a scholarship at Wisconsin for a year, and now a scholarship at Cincinnati for his final season. What else we got? 918 listener says, I believe the coaches played Sawchuk over Robinson too much last year. Did Gavin Sawchuk play that much?
I was about to say, I don't remember Sawchuk playing that much.
He only carried the ball like 20 times all year. Like, in my mind's eye, in my memory, and maybe it's inaccurate, I'll have to go back and look at snap counts, but it felt like Taylor Tatum was out-snapping Gavin Sawchuk early on through the first half of the season. Now, the second half of the season was when the rise of Xavier Robinson occurred, but I don't recall Gavin Sawchuk being on the field that much last year.
I will say this, too. Dan's point on the Knippelmeyer Chevrolet text line, that's kind of the point. We don't trust our coach's judgment on who should be playing right now. And the herky-jerky way that DeMarco Murray has gone about divvying up snaps would kind of inspire that.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, it's
Like,
been the absolute opposite of fluid and or structured.
I understand the criticism of DeMarco Murray, and I'm not trying to dismiss it. The rotations have been weird at times. All I'm saying is that there's been a whole constellation of issues when you look at the picture surrounding the running back room. It's not just, well, DeMarco Murray's rotations are weird. No, there have been more contributing factors than that. The Thinker, thank you, 39 carries last year for Gavin Sawchuk.
Yeah, it was like 39 carries for $180 or something like that.
Almost half of which came in the bowl game against Navy.
Yes.
I think 17 of the 39, if I'm not mistaken, came in the bowl game. Puerto Rican Sooner asked, so who won the fight, DeMarco or Tawi?
Yeah, what's going on here?
They never came to blows, folks. You weren't around for this.
No, I wasn't.
Did
Did Tawi Walker fight DeMarco Murray?
Tawi Walker and DeMarco Murray at one point midseason in 2023 had a very heated disagreement in the team facility that prompted Brent Venables to suspend Walker for one game. He did not play against UCF that year. And that was certainly something that contributed to his decision to transfer at season's end because he was offered a scholarship by Oklahoma when the season concluded. They offered him the opportunity to return on scholarship in 2024, and he said, no, I'd rather go somewhere else.
Let's talk about this for a second.
Okay.
Did this heated disagreement between Tawi and DeMarco ever come to blows?
No. No, it didn't.
So I got to ask, why was he suspended for a disagreement?
Because basically, this is how it's been described.
Unless there's a detail that I just am totally clueless
This is how it's been described to me in multiple accounts here of the same interaction. Tawi and there was fault on both sides here. I guess maybe that's the best way I can put it. There was fault on both sides, but Tawi stood up in his position coach's face and was jawing with him like nose to nose. And so obviously that's not really something that's good for team morale, especially if it's happening in the team facilities. So Brent said, all right, man, you're sitting for a week. You're sitting for a week. You're not going to play.
Okay.
And that was kind of where things were left.
Yeah.
He came back the next week, and it was business as usual. Well, not quite business as usual, because then what happened was Gavin Sawchuk kind of took over down the stretch.
Right. I was about to say.
Yeah, that's also because he just started playing really well.
Right, he started playing really well, and also keep in mind, Oklahoma almost lost to UCF.
Slim Brady says Seth McGowan hates DeMarco, and supposedly so does Ramondre, according to him, LOL. Is Slim Brady like buddies with Seth McGowan? Or is he buddies with Ramondre Stevenson? I can't really tell based on the phrasing of that text.
Mm-hmm.
Big John from Texas says nothing but respect For Tawi, 405 Zane says, never should have let the man walk. What's done is done, folks. What's done is done. End of the day, he's not on the team. You got what you got in 2025. KW918, going back to the portal conversation, said the fact that OU would ever have to go to the portal for a linebacker when BV is a linebackers coach and widely regarded as one of the best DCs in the country is a baffling red flag to me. He should be able to handpick linebackers like Muleshoe does quarterbacks. Counterpoint, K-Dub. Zach Alley didn't really recruit when he was employed at the University of Oklahoma.
Mm-hmm.
Was on staff for 11 months, didn't land a single commitment during his time here. Now, since Nate Dreiling has gotten to town, that has changed. Oklahoma has Ja'Cory Smith committed. They have Bo Jandro committed. They are very much on track right now to getting Jacob Curry committed, the outstanding 3-star linebacker out of St. Augustine, Florida. So, Oklahoma, in all likelihood, is going to wind up with at least 3 linebackers in the 2026 class. So that's the critical mass that you're looking for. And need I remind you, you go back to the very first year that Brent Venables was here, the Sooners landed 4 linebackers, 4 good ones, 2 of which have since transferred, admittedly, but Samuel Masigo, Taylor Heim, Phil Picciotti, Lewis Carter. Never going to really be able to make sense of what Phil Picciotti could have been at Oklahoma because he tore his ACL twice before he could ever get on the field. And Lewis Carter was kind of a Jaron Kanak-esque case where he really couldn't grasp it enough to effectively play the position, and he chose to transfer to UCF. Omasigo's still around. He's going to play a lot for Oklahoma.
What's the ceiling for Omasigo?
The ceiling is incredibly high. Incredibly high.
What do you think?
Now,
let me ask you this. Let me phrase it better. What do you think they're going to get out of Omasigo this year?
35, 40 tackles, I would say.
Okay.
I think he'll have a moderately productive year. Now, depending on what happens, and I think this ties in pretty naturally with the point that you brought up about Oklahoma perhaps needing to go to the portal for a linebacker at season's end, that's going to be largely dependent upon whether or not Kobe McKenzie and Kip Lewis are ready to jump to the NFL. Because they're both redshirt juniors. So they could both come back. They could both leave. If they play well, there is certainly going to be a case to be made for them to cash in their chips and go play pro ball. I think based on the body of work to this point, Kip is probably going to have a more secure case than Kobe, who has to prove a little more, put a little bit more on tape between now and then. But next year would be the year that I think, especially with the versatility that Omasigo has displayed, being able to play all 3 linebacker positions, Mike, Will, and Cheetah at Oklahoma, his senior year is the year where you'd expect it all to click and where it kind of has to all click for him to be able to hear his name called one day on draft day. So you'll see a lot of Omasigo in addition to Lewis and McKenzie, who are going to be your principal starters. And another counterpoint there, K-Dub, sometimes it's not a bad thing if you have need for a portal linebacker. Because, for instance, would you rather have had Oklahoma land Caleb Burns in the 2025 class, who wound up signing with Baylor? Mm-hmm. Or would you rather have Kendall Daniels on this roster right now? I know what my preference would be.
Probably Kendall Daniels.
Mm-hmm.
Also another guy who will be moving on after this year. Can you not see that clock from where you're sitting?
I can't see the clock. I have to, crane my neck up over the monitor.
You've been doing this for 2 weeks.
Yeah. At some point, we probably need to slide that clock 6 inches to the left. But that's how I keep doing my time checks. I'm just kind of craning my neck upward over the computer monitor to check it out. But yeah, look, I think gone are the days where Oklahoma's going to have to or want to take a Connor Neer in the portal, for example. Remember when Oklahoma took Connor Neer from Ferris State? A D2 linebacker.
Who, from where?
Exactly. And he played special teams, and that was it for Oklahoma in 2023, and then transferred right back to Ferris State. So I don't think Oklahoma should be in a position where they have to go add a D2 linebacker from the portal at any point in the near future. What you should be able to do moving forward is simply fill in the gaps where you need to fill them, and you should be able to fill them with high-level dudes that have played Power 4 ball or at the very least played really, really well in the G5. Oklahoma needed Kendall Daniels. They might not have felt the need to go get Kendall Daniels if they'd landed Caleb Burns. I would rather have Kendall Daniels on this 2025 roster. That is my personal opinion. We don't have to agree. Sooner Bump says, did we get through an entire show without the stupid 3-star you text? You're dang right we did.
Hell yeah.
Let's see if we can do it again tomorrow, folks. We'll see you then. Same time, same place. The Rush is next with Teddy and Tyler. Keep it here.